Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys of Magic. This is Hunter, Riley, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, guys.
Yo.
I'm here.
What's up, nerds?
We are back doing another Commander Grades video, this time taking a look at all of the monocolored legendaries from the newest set, Foundations. It's a foundational set, so let's throw a bunch of new cards in it, right?
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. We're going through and talking about all of the monocolored from not only Foundations, but Foundations Jumpstart as well, because they are two separate sets for whatever reason. I don't know. So some of these cards from the Jumpstart, even though they're legendary creatures, we are going to talk about them because they can be a commander, but they're not necessarily that great because they're from Jumpstart, which means you just put it together in a deck, and they're a really good card in a little deck, but not necessarily a commander. But we will get to those grades when we get to them. Today we are doing part 1. That is right. We're talking about the white, the blue, and half of the black cards. Part 2 will be coming out after this video. If you're watching this in the future, check the description. Maybe it's already out. But hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Let's kick it off with this first card. It is Arahbo, the first Fang. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, cat avatar. Other cats you control get +1/+1. It also says, whenever Arahbo or another non-token cat you control enters, you create a 1/1 white cat creature token. So, cats.
Meow.
Arabo's back
loves
first
this.
time.
You say Arabo's back first time?
First time Arabo's been back, yeah.
Oh,
Since
got it.
First printed with Eminence, way back then.
It's a lord. I love lords.
It is a cat lord. That is correct.
He lost a whole color.
Did lose a whole
That is very
color.
unfortunate.
Also lost Eminence.
That's
Also lost Eminence.
very unfortunate as well. I know there's
Eminence
a lot of
apparently
good cats that
comes
you could
green.
play, right, though?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
You're the
I mean,
cat
in mono
guy.
white.
Yeah.
No,
Plenty
this
of
could
cats.
be a Arahbo in the past. It says the first Fang, you know?
The
Oh.
first Fang.
It's like the first adult tooth.
Yeah.
It's the foundation to Arahbo. You see what I
True.
did there?
So this is going to be a
I
go-wide
mean,
deck, right?
They did say they were going to reprint Edgar Markov. Maybe that means they're
Every
going to
video.
reprint all the
No, you
Eminence.
talk about it every video.
Yeah, well, it keeps going down, so.
The deck, though,
There's
Steven.
There's 127 white cats.
This is just going to go wide. You're going to flood the board, and when they board wipe, you're just going to flood it again, right? That's what the game plan here is?
Yeah, it's a token strategy,
Or you can flicker, I guess.
specifically with cats.
True.
That's it.
This is exactly the kind of legendary creature I want out of a foundation set. I feel like this is a perfect commander for like a brand new player. You open this up out of a pack and you want to be able to build off of it. It gives you a very easy lane. It's incredibly straightforward. It's easy to understand. Love this card.
It's foundational.
But the question to you, Riley, is it powerful?
No.
It's foundational.
But it's not supposed to be.
I suppose you're right. Do you like it, Steven?
It's just so one-dimensional for me.
Perfect.
All right, let's move on to the grades. We'll start with you, Steven.
I don't like that. I mean, I understand Riley said it's not powerful, but I do see some power here, and I actually do think that it could be pretty nutsos. So I think I'm gonna go with a B. And I know it sounds crazy to start it off, but I actually do think that this could be something.
I'm gonna go middle of the road as the cat guy. It's mono white cat lord. I'm gonna go into Arahbo, the other Arahbo, but yeah, this is C.
C.
Yeah, I think
Same.
it's definitely a middle of the road. Sorry, Steven. It's good for
okay.
beginner. It's a C.
Arahbo
But
the
beginners
first Fang.
begins with a B.
Okay.
Arahbo the first Fang gets the average grade of a C. Next up is a Brigone, Soldier of Meletis. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature human soldier. Got Vigilance. It's also got Heroic, which means whenever you cast a spell that targets Brigone, put a +1/+1 counter on Brigone. It also has another ability. You can tap it, remove a +1/+1 counter from Brigone to draw a card.
Card draw wins
That's-
games, I heard.
It is stapled on white, too.
That's actually pretty cool. And it's a bear.
No, it's not.
It's not cool.
I-
Cool whatsoever.
I love the flavor text. Gods, guide my hand, because you're like, please help me draw something good.
Pretty much, right? I feel not thrilled with this card.
Yeah, it's a little slow.
Hmm.
By little, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
You gotta target it. You gotta remove it. You gotta tap it. You're probably not attacking with it. Like, oh no, it's vigilance. What am I saying?
It does have vigilance.
So slow.
I do like the fact that you can take off a counter at instant speed. Doesn't say activate only as a sorcery, which is fantastic.
Very
You
true.
can draw cards whenever you need, so you can stay up on blocks just in case someone's going to swing at you with a big Brigone, depending on how many counters are on it. And then on the final opponent's end step, before it gets to you, tap it, remove a counter, draw a card.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to wait a whole turn cycle.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you do after you cast this.
Okay, sure.
I mean, on the bright side there, though, this is a 2-drop.
Yeah, and you can put the counter on very quickly, Steven. It's just the removing is slow. You can start adding counters to it pretty quick.
I'm not here.
Where are you?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. Brigone, I like it, but I'm still going middle of the road here. It's a C.
It's Voltron and not very good. I'm going to give this one a D.
And I'm going to be right there with you.
I, unfortunately, am also giving it a D.
Wow. Brigone gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to Psemilla, Meletian Poet. It's 2 and a white for a 1/1 legendary creature human bard. So whenever you cast your first enchantment spell, each turn you create a 2/2 white nymph enchantment creature token. And then at the beginning of each combat, if you control 5 or more enchantments, Psemilla gets +4/+4 and gains lifelink until end of turn.
Enchantment deck,
That's
Steven.
cool.
That's you. Would you play
That is
this?
me. I think I do like this card. I mean, for me, I feel like there are other cards that do this better. I don't think this is a commander in my book. I think this is a really nice support piece for enchantments because it really reminds me of, the Pegasus that, makes you the 2/2 flyers when you cast enchantments with the constellation. And I don't, it's kind of like a mix between that and Sarah Ascendant. It's like as if the two had a weird human bard baby.
Human bard baby. I like it. I think this card is pretty cool. I like the fact that it's making enchantment creature tokens, which for any kind of enchantment deck, I mean, Constellation is a thing. So
Yeah, you could have
any
2 enchantment
ETB
ETBs. Yeah.
enchantments. Exactly. Pretty cool. Granted, it is only a one-time effect, but I also like the fact that it doesn't have to be an ETB trigger. So if your enchantment does get countered, it still makes that 2/2.
I like the artwork. It's really weird. This just seems like a not very good card to me.
Yeah, I also think that it kind of seems like more of a support piece to what Steven's point was. I might put it in an enchantment deck. Probably wouldn't make it to Helm, though.
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. I think this is more of a support piece as well. So I think we could go ahead and move on to the grades, and I think we're all probably on the same page. I'm going to give this a D.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Yeah, as a commander, I think D is definitely where I'm at.
Psemilla, Meletian Poet. It's the average grade of a D. Next up is Qala, Ajani's Pridemate. It's 3 and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature cat warrior. It says whenever it attacks, other attacking creatures you control get +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of counters on Qala. Whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on Qala. It has an ability you can pay 3 and a white, you gain 1 life.
Seems like another support piece, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think this is actually pretty strong.
Yeah,
4 mana to gain 1 life.
I don't know.
You're telling me you're not going to put other things to gain life in
Hell no,
white
dude. I'm gonna
deck?
use that
No.
only.
This is going to be the only card in my deck that gains me life.
No. I'm putting Soul Sisters in this build. I'm also putting Ajani's Pridemate in this build too, because
This is a Johnny's
I know, but like there's a million different ways that you can gain life in a mono white deck, and this just pumps the entire team. Given that it doesn't pump their toughness, so like if you're swinging in with an army of 1-power creatures, they're probably gonna die. But
Yeah.
still,
Doesn't matter. They're probably going to be huge.
You'll be getting.
I
Well, this
do
guy
like-
will be huge.
Yeah, then they'll be huge because this guy's huge.
I do like it. It doesn't say like other like attacking creatures and not like non-token.
It just
just-
make.
I just love the fact that every time you gain life, it's just 1 counter. Here we go. So,
I
like
agree.
Riley was saying, any of the Soul Sisters, this comes in after the Soul Sisters. 1 life, 1 life, 1 life, 1 life. Separate triggers. 3, 4 counters immediately.
To the same point, I'm thinking of the Soul Sisters deck, at least that Riley runs, and you're telling me you'd put this at the helm?
Also, would I put this in the helm of a deck like that? Yeah. I think this is a good way to be able to just like close up the game pretty quickly. The 4 mana to pay 1, like gain 1 life, it's not ideal, but if I attack and like my opponent doesn't block, or I can like use that ability at instant speed to like boost my entire team, it's pretty powerful.
It wouldn't boost the entire team because it is an attack trigger, so it would boost just this. So you'd have to do it before you declare attacking.
You are correct.
Also, is this like
But
a bad argument
still very good.
for me personally that I about to pose? Doesn't it kind of, if the deck wants to do the life gain thing and also the go wide thing, is that like 2 different strategies kind of thing? Not really focusing on
No.
one?
I think there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of creatures that gain life, and there's a lot of creatures that also do things like make tokens whenever you gain life.
Okay. Okay.
I like it. Let's move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. Qala for me, it's getting a B.
Of course it is. It's got a +1/+1 counter on
It's
it.
a cat.
Meow.
I won't go there. I'll give this a C.
Oh yeah, well I'm not going to go there. I'm going to give this a B.
Oh yeah? Well, I'm not going there. I'm giving it a C.
Okay.
Qala, Ajani's Pridemate, gets the average grade of a B. Next up is Thurid, Mare of Destiny. 2 and 2 white for a 2/4 legendary creature Pegasus. Got flying and lifelink. It says whenever you cast a Pegasus, unicorn, or horse creature spell, copy it. And other Pegasi, unicorns, and horses, you control get +1/+1.
It's a lord.
It is a lord.
Are there
You
enough
guys know?
cards to choose from for this deck?
Ooh.
Yeah, you have the My Little Pony cards. There's at least 2 of them in there.
Are they mono white?
But those are not mono white.
Yeah, I mean they're also not legal, so I mean, just
Just make
also
them
roll
white.
0.
Yeah.
Also a good point.
My only
Point.
concern is there wouldn't be enough of good cards to choose for this thing to do anything.
There are 58 cards that are all horse, Pegasus, and unicorn.
So you have 58
mono
to
white.
choose from.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
This is another absolute slam dunk A+ card for me.
for beginners.
Yeah, for beginners.
Got it.
It's a kindred that doesn't really get a whole lot of support. This is something that I feel like would be able to attract a lot of players who are just like getting into the game, and that they're like, oh, cool, I can make my Pegasus or my unicorn deck. It's very straightforward. It's honestly very boring, but I love this card.
We want more people to play Magic, so I get it.
Yeah. Bring your Pegasi deck.
I mean, that new card from Wilds of Eldraine, that Regal Bunnycorn, is considered a unicorn. So,
It's pretty mean, yeah.
boom.
Look, when the deck's working, it's
Oh.
going to be sick because everything you cast gets 2 of it, and then they're all going to get bigger because it's a lord. So, like, yeah, I see this thing working if there's enough in
And
the
of course, you're
support
going to
environment.
throw in shapeshifters and
Sure.
whatever.
Oh, there you go. Man, boom.
I think it's cool.
There are a lot of white shapeshifters.
I don't know. I just went along with it.
I mean, there are shapeshifters that are colorless.
Boom.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Shane, what are you giving this?
You know what? It's beginner friendly. It's a C.
I agree with you. This is a C.
This
Mhm.
card goes crazy with Realming Throne. It's a D.
It is a D from me as well.
Well, Thurid, Mare of Destiny, gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Urdnan, Dromaka Warrior. 1 and a white for a 1/1 legendary creature human warrior. It says when it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And whenever you attack, target attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains first strike until end of turn. If that creature has 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it gains double strike until end of turn instead.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
Hunter, you love this card.
And the crowd goes mild. No, not really.
My-
I know you think I like it because it has +1/+1 counter stuff.
And it's a
going.
human and it's white. Like,
But
there's ways to build this, right?
yeah,
To the
I
point where
mean,
you're going to be double striking almost every time.
I will say my favorite thing about this card is that it doesn't need to attack to have that trigger happen, which
Very
is
true.
pretty cool.
If it's a 1/1, it would die immediately.
Yeah. You can also put a counter on itself.
I still imagine this as like the general sitting back and letting all the minions get with the counters deal insane amount of damage.
You can do the same amount of damage with commander damage too with this, but I don't know. I think giving itself double strike as a commander is powerful. It's okay. It's decent. It's 2 mana. Talked about that before. 2 mana commander is pretty good.
It's cute.
I think it's maybe a little more than cute because I think that this card can literally do something like the minute it comes down. Because it'll come down, give something a counter. Hopefully that thing won't be sick, so it can attack immediately. And if your deck's already doing counters, if it has 2, then you just are attacking with a double striking thing immediately. Like, I get that it's only targeting one thing, so maybe it is kind of slow.
I guess that's maybe what it is for me. Is like the ceiling of this card is just not very high.
Yeah, you're right. It's just like the one.
The one. Steven?
Unless you go Voltron.
Yeah, this card does the one thing.
Okay.
It is foundational.
It is foundational. Urdnan, very cool. Let's move on to the grades. We'll start with you, Riley.
I'm gonna give it a D. I kind of almost want to give this an F.
I'll do it for you. It's an F.
Can't
Harsh.
go that low. I'm gonna give it a C.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go D as well, just because it's a little slow.
Urdnan, Dromaka Warrior gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to the mono blue legendary creatures, we've got Cynette, Jelly Drover. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature human wizard. It says when it enters or dies, you create a 1/1 blue jellyfish creature token with flying. It also says creatures you control with flying get +1/+1.
Not sure about this one.
Once you build up an immunity to their deadly venom, they're really quite cuddly.
Okay, hear me out.
You're gonna try. You have to try so hard.
There's not
dude.
a single thing you
Yeah.
can say me.
You're in blue.
Yes, you are.
You can blink.
Okay.
Make a bunch of jellyfish.
Okay.
Now they're flying. They're 2/2s.
Okay.
Swing.
You definitely tried. That was a good try.
Swing.
In my opinion, this would be a good support for like something that cares about flying,
Cares
but even
about
still,
jellyfish.
I'm thinking about flying because it's a lord again, but it's like a very specific lord.
It's a very expensive lord.
It is a very expensive lord.
We're getting a
I
lot of
also-
cute cards.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Like I said at
adorable.
the beginning of the video, this is Jumpstart. So this is one of those cards that are good in the Jumpstart pack.
True.
As like a one of.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not
whoa,
made to
this
be a
is gonna help-
commander.
This is really gonna help this deck go.
Yep.
And yeah.
I mean,
But-
I know it sounds crazy, but like I hate that the flavor text like reminds you of like deadly venom, but there's no like death touch or like black in the card. Like, I think there's like some missed flavor with it, but other than that, I mean it's very odd.
I mean, it makes sense. Jellyfish typically have flying and are not venomous, so
Are they not flying in water?
I think that's called
dude.
swimming.
That's a whole
It's
different can of
floating.
worms. I don't know. Because fish probably
Do
feel like they're
all
flying
fish
in there.
fly?
Is water wet?
All right. Let's move on to the grades. We will start with Shane.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this one an F.
Yeah, I will too. F.
I mean,
Oh, you take it away.
she's adorable, and I feel bad, but it's an F.
Jellyfish tokens sound bomb. I'm gonna give this a D.
Wow.
Solid.
Cynette, Jelly Drover gets the average grade of an F. Welcome back, Kiora, the Rising Tide. 2 and a blue for a 3/2 legendary creature, Merfolk Noble. It says when it enters, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. It's also got Threshold, which means whenever it attacks, there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. You may create Sign of the Deep, a legendary 8/8 blue octopus creature token.
So cool, almost.
It's so meh, isn't it, Steven?
I mean, I wanted to love this card so much, and just that legendary on the
Yeah.
blue octopus just kind of like threw it so
Yep.
hard.
Yep.
Because it's not hard to put cards in your graveyard, especially in blue. And I just imagined making so many of these tokens, and then it said legendary. So like having like, and it's not like you can't run it because there are cards that get rid of legend rule, but like to draw into that, have enough mana. This is also a 3/2, so you really wanted me to attack with it that much? I don't know.
Yeah, because the ability's strong, dude.
I
Draw
mean,
2,
it's kind of
discard
cool.
2.
it's kind of cool because you really want it to die, so then you can recast it to draw 2 more and discard 2 to kind of continue the flow. And obviously you're in blue, and there are plenty of cards that help bounce things back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could technically attack with it, and then in response to the trigger, bounce it back to your hand, and then get the 8/8. But I mean, I see like lanes, but it's just the legendary thing that kills me.
Agreed.
Talked about it with the jellyfish. About blinking. You could blink this to keep drawing 2 and discarding 2.
You could make 1/8/8.
Don't
This
bring
is
Cynette
a
into this.
this is a totally fine card.
It's
And-
fine.
Like, to be completely honest, I think that Foundations is not a set that should really be pushing power level. So like this is something that, like, I don't know, kitchen table magic, you're gonna put together your commander deck based of the cards that you and your friends have opened up, and you're gonna play just based only off of those without like looking up a deck tech or a video or anything, and you're just gonna play at your kitchen table, and this is totally fine for that. And 8/8 is gonna be scary enough to do the job in that environment.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I do love the flavor that it's an 8/8. It's kind of like that one enchantment saga that makes the 8/8 that gets hexproof.
Plus
I
8.
kind of like the flavor.
Let's move on to the grades. We will start with you, Steven.
Oh, stop that.
Be the
Man.
later.
I mean, I'm gonna give this a C. It's like a high C. I just can't give this a B.
I am also just I'm actually gonna go down to a D. I'm not a fan of this Kiora.
I will go with a C on this one. It's fine for what it does.
Yeah, I wanted to go down with Hunter as well, but I like it. See,
What if I told you that technically that looks like the bite into Thassa?
wouldn't
you go
change a
up in
thing.
grade?
No.
Okay.
No, this is Kiora the Rising Tide. It's the average grade of a C. Next up is Neerdiv, Devious Diver. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, Merfolk Rogue. It says whenever it becomes tapped, target player mills cards equal to its power. And whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard or activate an ability of a card in your graveyard, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on Neerdiv. Steven, mill.
Yeah.
He
I
doesn't
saw
like
this
it.
card and I was like, no. I do think it's fun. It's definitely a different way of mill. I think like mill is super salty, so they kind of like threw this in and kind of changed it like for foundations. I think it is interesting. I've never seen a deck that wanted a Leer so bad in my entire life.
Yep.
How good would this card be if it said each player mills cards equal to its power?
It'd be so much
1000%
better. Mill is so hard to pull off in EDH. Everyone, like, we all know that.
No, it's
Just
not.
Dude, shut up. Just recently, we got some amazing cards in like Duskmourn, but like other than that, Mill sucks,
Mind
dude.
Scanner. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, one at a time having to do that, like this is just super slow.
Building a mill deck.
I don't know about this card. What do you think, Riley?
I'm not really here for it. I don't know. You guys have pretty much already gotten the points down. It's slow. It's, I don't know. Like what you have said is one of those mechanics that like it does draw a lot of hate, and especially for newer players, whenever they have cards going into the graveyard, they kind of have that feel bad moment of like, oh, I could have drawn that, and I could have had that interaction, or I could have built up my board state, or whatever it is. I look at it more like this is kind of cool. This is a self mill. I'm going to be using this more as like a flashback style commander. But that's just my thought on it.
That's a good point because you're filling your graveyard.
Yeah.
I wish he had an activator to like help cast stuff from the graveyard though.
And that's why I say flashback, because like
Yeah.
you play around with like a lot of those kinds of cards, and there are tons of different cards and several different mechanics at this point that like cast from the graveyard. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool. It's a cute little way for you to be able to also make her bigger, and then also of course draw cards on that. So you are going to churn through your deck relatively quickly.
True. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Shane, kick us off. You love Merfolk.
Yeah. I can see it now after Riley described it a bit, but it's still not crazy high. I'll probably give it a C.
Code cards. I am joining you in the C train.
Yeah, I'll be there with as well. This card is a C.
I mean, it says mill on it, so it's no lower than a C.
Neerdiv, Devious Diver gets the average grade of a C. The last blue card we are talking about is Pol Jamaar, Illusionist. It's 4 and 2 blue for a 4/5. Legendary creature, human illusion wizard. It's got flying, and it says when it enters, choose a creature type. Draw a card for each creature you control of that type.
Fantastic support card.
I'm gonna say that
Riley, what was the card you wrecked us with in Vegas? It comes down and becomes a creature of the type, and you draw cards that are the same creature.
That's the Titan of the Jar.
Yeah, Titan of Lichara. That's what this reminds me of to a T. But this one's in the command zone, and it has 2 of the most relevant creature types in the entire game on it.
Human and illusion.
Probably
Next one.
human and wizard.
Yeah, we all know that everyone plays illusions. Yeah, human and wizard. Absolutely agree with Riley there. I cannot say any good things enough about this. Like, this is just a card draw engine in your command zone that you kind of just want to bounce back to your hand and play it again over and over to get as many cards as you can. Granted, it is 6 mana.
Yeah, and that's where it just dies for me. Like and I understand, like Riley has mentioned a couple times in the video, this is like a foundational set. Obviously, this is catered to new players to try and get everybody out there and play Magic, but there are so many other cards in Magic the Gathering that do this way better at a cheaper cost.
I was going to say, how many cards do you have to draw to make this good?
3, 4.
I mean,
6 mana,
I'd
draw
honestly
3.
say 5 minimum. I mean, bare minimum 4, but I'd really like 5 or 6. But like, how many? If you're not, I think like you'd have to have a whole bunch of support pieces, like the illusionist that makes the illusions when you cast like instants and sorceries, like so many support pieces that create tokens, and I don't see it in this card. Like, I think this is a really good support card, kind of like the Titan that we mentioned earlier. I don't think this is a good commander.
I will completely disagree with you.
Heard?
I understand that 6 mana can be a lot. From the perspective of a like newer player sitting down playing with this is like potentially going around with a commander. This is a 4/5 with flying. This actually is a relatively beefy creature that you're going to get rewarded for your opponents using removal against, because that means it's going to go back into the command zone. You're going to be able to reload this and be able to draw additional cards. So like this is going to be a nightmare for newer players to deal with, and then for more experienced players, like what Hunter brought up earlier on in the video, you're putting your blink in this, so you're going to be able to protect it. And then whenever it does ETB back in, you're drawing a ton more cards. This is going to be a way for you to be able to chain stuff. I do feel like this is a commander that I understand you have to have a couple creatures in play, but even if I'm just drawing like 3 cards off of this, I'm going to be able to draw a whole lot of my deck.
I mean, and I'll counter your point on, if this dies, goes back to the command zone, it then just goes to 8, and then instead of using your mana for the cards you just drew, you're then using your mana to recast this to draw more cards.
We don't have to.
And hopefully you draw the pieces you need to try and continue to win the game, other than like thinking about recasting this. I do understand that having a draw outlet in your command zone is quite strong. I just don't think that this is the one that I would want in my command zone for that.
I mean, and I get your point. I just like my argument for it is just like, so for example, there was like a series of cards whenever they first started making the commander products. They would like the commanders would reward you based on the amount of mana that you spent into them. For example, like Prosh. That's one of those cards where it's like if it dies, it's not really a bad thing because it's not setting you back. It still has a really powerful ability whenever you cast it. So like it's still doing things for you and progressing your board state. So like even if your opponents do spin removal, it's fine. You're just like you're reloading that trigger, and that's the comparison that I'm really drawing here. So I feel like for a lot of newer players, this is going to be one of those cards where I would much rather block this with a 1/1 that has flying than what I would like spend a removal piece on this.
Yeah, I think the thing that really just sets this card back for me is the weird hand thing at the bottom. And I realize it's part of his cloak, but it looks like a hand and it creeps me out.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
That's good. Let's move on to the grades with that note. Steven, we'll start with you.
I mean, I'm actually going to give this a D. I think the mana is too high. I understand it's a big beater technically, but 6 mana for a 4/5 with flying. I mean, it's just at that point, it's like French vanilla in my book.
I'm not gonna go that low. It's been a lot of C's. I'm still sticking with that. It's a C for me.
I too am probably gonna be around the C train. Going to that point though, I do feel like they're kind of trying to slow Magic down. And this might be a thing to slow it down a little bit, make the game last a little bit longer and fun.
I am actually very much so here for this card. I'm going to give this one a B.
All right. Well,
Love it.
Pol Jamaar, Illusionist, gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to the mono black cards. We are only talking about 3. The others will be in part 2. So, Fumulus, the Infestation, is 3 and a black for a 2/2 legendary creature vampire insect. It's got flying, it's got death touch. It says whenever a player sacrifices a non-token creature, you create a 1/1 black insect creature token with flying. And whenever an insect, leech, slug, or worm you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life.
I love it.
Obscure tribal.
Obscure travel.
Hunter, you
It
love the
is-
fact that it says worm with an O, right?
I hate that fact. I wish it didn't. But here we are.
Maybe all worms will get eroded.
No. But this is probably a sacrifice deck, I'm imagining, but what kind of slows down for me is the fact that this card doesn't enable it. We see so many good cards nowadays that have the sacrifice stapled onto the commander, which I think is huge, but I could see this.
Almost like to your point on the last card,
What?
them trying to slow the game down.
I mean, there's a way you could do both. And I get that it's probably a delicate process, but okay, I'll stop and just say it's not hard to make a deck centered around sacrificing. The commander doesn't need to do it, so I'll understand that. But this could be a thing. Honestly, I think it might be a real thing.
If you were wondering how many mono black insect, leech, slugs, or worms there are in Magic, it's 106.
Can I here, I'm going to do the thing. You know those decks that I like to build where I'm like, hey, it's
I
a
knew you
Kindred
were gonna
deck. I'm
say
going to show
this.
up and it's like, this is my snake deck. And there's actually
Yes.
only one snake in the entire deck.
Yes.
This is my insect deck. And
I
this is the
understand.
only insect.
Oh yeah.
This is a deck that I am filling with Fleshbag Marauder and all of those kinds of cards, so that whenever they come in, everybody's going to sacrifice a creature, and for 3 mana, I've eliminated 3 of my opponent's creatures, and I've made 4 1/1 bug insect creature tokens with flying that get additional damage through whenever they attack. I mean, they're draining. So, this is one of those decks where I'm going to become an enemy really quickly. Everybody's going to hate my playstyle. The only downside I see with this is this is mono black. You are a little bit restrictive in that this is only a 2/2. So you're very dependent on that go wide. So if something does happen to this, you're probably not doing anything.
I think it's fantastic, just aristocrat strategy. This is at the helm of any type of those decks that have any of those cards that also care about gain and drain. This will, I feel like, we just talked about slowing the game down. I think this speeds the game up.
I mean, it could, because you're draining, but no, yeah, I agree though.
Most of those kinds of decks, though, they specifically care about having your creatures get sacrificed to have an additional impact. So it's whenever a creature I control dies, the blood artist style effects, it's I'm draining all of my opponents, or I'm draining based off of the number of or based on the number of creatures that are dying, or whatever that is. This doesn't do that. This one actually still has to be able to attack, and this creature has to be in play whenever that attack happens.
And
Well,
it's just the one to player, yeah.
Whenever you sacrifice something, your opponents have to sacrifice something, and then that drain effect takes place with blood artist effects, and then you get these things that you can swing in and also drain it as well. I just feel like it just snowballs.
And it's a vampire.
Yes.
Goes an editor Markov.
That's what I was fishing for. That. Sorry.
I mean, I'm in love.
Yeah,
I really am.
For all the same reasons.
Tell me more.
I mean, I just everything that Riley said made me really happy. And I think that's it. Do you need to be Kindred specific on the deck? Absolutely not. I think the Fleshbag Marauder strategy, where you have stuff coming in that sacrifices creatures, I think Dictate of Erebos in this deck goes nuts. I mean, there's just so many pieces that create certain things that when you sacrifice stuff, you can make these. and to your point, Hunter, I honestly do think this does speed the game up. Now, granted, does it kind of suck a little bit that defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life? Absolutely, but I don't think that's even like the strategy to a certain extent. I really do think that it's like a lot of the sack, making the insects, and if this is on the field, cool. If it's not, I still think this is a very dominating card and a very dominating deck.
Love it.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with Riley.
I'm probably going to be the lowest on this card just because of how dependent I feel like this deck is on this commander. I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah, I am higher than that. It's a B for me.
I mean, I'm gonna say B. I think that even though it does seem like this deck does kind of want this card to be out on the field, I think that even without it, it could definitely succeed greatly.
And my gut tells me to go for C, so I'm staying C.
Fumulus, the Infestation, gets the average grade of a B. Next up, we have Navar, the Velvet Fang. It's 3 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature vampire warlock. It's got menace, and it says whenever you gain life, put a feeding counter on Navar. Whenever Navar attacks, you may remove 3 feeding counters from it. If you do, you draw 3 cards and lose 3 life.
Oof.
Thank goodness for that text right there. Tell me what Manache is, Steven.
It is foundational.
I know. Is this good enough, though? This feels a little slow.
This is way too slow. It's not good.
It could be a good card to put in a strat like
Nope.
that, though. No?
No.
I think so. Not
Nope.
at
You
all.
gain life? You don't want to know?
Nope.
You have to remove 3 feeding counters, so you have to have something trigger 3 times to gain you life in mono black. No.
No. I said as a helper. Sorry. That's, yeah.
Nope,
in the
not even as a
Ozox life
helper.
gain? I don't know.
No.
There are different ways to draw cards that are better. This needs to attack, and then you have to remove 3. So, nope.
I tried.
Yeah, not good. Right, Steven?
That's awful.
All right, let's move on to the
Damn.
grades. This was a quick one, I think. Navar, for me, is getting an F.
And then?
I'm gonna go A.
You're going to go what?
From an A to an F.
Got it.
It technically does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. This is an F.
I was about to
Aw,
say.
I was going to try to do a D, but I'll die fine. I'm getting vetoed. It's an F.
Yeah, F is for Fang. Navar, the Velvet Fang, gets the average grade of an F.
Yeah, I like what you did there, Shane. Just play veto.
And the final card we're talking about in this video is Ozox, the Clattering King. 2 and a black for a 3/2 legendary creature, Skeleton Noble. It says it can't block. It also says that whenever it dies, you create Jumble Bones, a legendary 2/1 black skeleton creature token with this creature can't block. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, return target card named Ozox, the Clattering King, from your graveyard to your hand.
It's cute.
I
love
loved
this.
to have been in the room when they wrote this card's description.
We're going to call him Jumble Bones. And when he comes back, he brings back Ozox. And then when Ozox dies, he brings back Jumble Bones.
Like it's so funny because like I just imagine like they had this the name Ozox, the Clattering King, and there was this one guy in the back of the room, and everyone's just like, we can't think about what to name this creature. The one guy finally perks up after 3 hours of being in this meeting, and he's just like, Jumble Bones.
I just feel like they really wanted to expand on the Tiny Bones family. And that's what they came up with.
Tiny Bones is dead. Jumble Bones.
Because it's the opposite. Jesus Christ. It's
I
such a
love
good
this card.
though.
Do you?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
As a commander?
So I'll give you this, okay? First off, this is
Okay.
by far, it's my favorite artwork of the entire set that I have seen so far.
Pretty cool.
It's slam dunk. I absolutely love what I'm saying. I mean, I can't speak highly enough there. Second thing, is this card good? I don't actually care. Is it fun? Yes, and that's what I'm here for. This is a perfect example of like, I'm going to throw together, this is my commander, and we're going to go play, and I'm going to go teach some new players how to play, because this deck, I don't think it does anything, but at the same time, it's like one of those decks that like probably does more than what it should.
I think you
Yeah.
should build it.
You're never putting this back in the command zone, right?
No. It's a
Well,
great
then,
way to play,
yeah.
like teach players how to play commander with a commander that doesn't even use the command zone.
I love it. It's a 3/2 that can't block that makes a 2/1 that can't block. That's it.
It's pretty jank.
Yeah.
It's,
I guess
not a. This is not a good card,
Hey,
guys.
but no, it's
I know.
cool.
I
No,
love
it's
it
cool.
for the flavor and all the stuff that's doing. It's cool.
What
It's
about
cool. It
what
is
about
not a good commander.
decks that want to sacrifice things? It makes sure you always have something to sacrifice,
Yeah, but this goes back to your hand.
and then you play it, and you'll never have to pay commander tax, and you'll get jumbo bones again.
Sure, this could be a sack outlet continuously.
Cool.
I mean, I love it, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like cards like Beseech the Mirror that really want you to like sacrifice something. This could be your sacrifice. You still have a 2/1, and then you're just swinging with a 2/1 for the game until somebody decides to block it. Because let's be honest, you can't block with them, so it has to die. And I mean, Shane's got a really good point with having sack outlets to always have something to sack. And I think this deck's really fun, and I'm here for the memes. Everyone knows I love the meme style jank decks, and I think this is right up my alley.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades then, Steven. I
It's
want
gonna
to
be
hear your
dude,
grade.
you know what, dude?
Don't do it.
I haven't done it. I
You're
haven't
not.
done
You're
it.
not saying it.
I'm doing it. This is an A for me.
Now you want me to actually click the A button?
I want you to click the A button. Click it
Oh
right
my
now.
god.
I want that A to be right over
No,
here.
other side. Other side.
I want the A to be right over here.
Too far.
I want
All
the
right.
A to be, where do you want me to be?
Right.
This is a D. Give me a D, please.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm you know what? This is so bad, but I love this card so much.
Come on. Come on.
Okay. As far as like power level goes, this card is like a D. However, as far as like a spot in my heart, I love this thing. It's an A in my heart.
Wait. So what am I clicking?
Technically the middle, so probably like a B.
I want a D, but I also want an A with a heart surrounded.
You can't do that.
No, you get. Okay, you're getting this.
Make it edited. I want it to happen. Editor.
No. Shh. You guys are crazy. I'm giving it a real D.
Thank you. Somehow, Ozox, the Clattering King, ended up with the average grade of a C.
Oh, I was hoping it was gonna be a B.
And that is going to do it for us today. What a video. Comment down below. Do you guys agree with these grades? Maybe Ozox got an A in your heart as well. Let us know down there in the comment section. Maybe you disagree with these grades. Maybe we were off on something completely. And Ozox was not just in the heart, but it was an A. Let us know. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you're staying up to date with all the videos that we're putting out. And in the description, you will not only find links to all of our social media accounts, that's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, @GuysAtMagic for each one. You'll find links to the other videos. If you're watching this, go check out the multicolored grades and the part 2 if you're watching this in some future. So, yeah. On the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It really does mean the world to us. If you guys wanted to check out what they're seeing, which is not here on YouTube, also check the link in the description and consider subscribing. And until the next video, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Ozox for president.
Bye bye.